All right, we are live for a special presentation with Kimba. And what is your company name again?
Kimba Digital.
It is Kimba Digital. Okay, that's what she has written there. And I was like, is that right? Of course, you put what's right on there. I was so excited when I saw Kimba's specialty in gamification because I love games. I play board games, video games, mobile games, and I love bringing games to marketing because it really plays on the ways that your brain likes to like achieve things and check things off. And so it can do so much. And I'm excited to hear about how we can use those concepts from games in our marketing.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm excited about this talk. I think we had obviously a pre-Zoom meetup, and I felt like we could talk for hours and hours and hours because we both like games, and it's a really fun topic.
Indeed. Okay, so most of my audience are coaches, course creators doing online stuff. I think there's a lot of application for gamification in helping people to complete online courses. We usually see like little, progress bars and milestones. Are there other aspects that we can use in there?
Yeah, of course. So do you think it would help for me to explain what gamification is? Do you think your audience will all know what it is before we get started?
Yeah, maybe you better explain it.
It's just one of those things, like we both know what it is, and I just assumed everyone knew what it was, and I've started to realize that not everybody knows. So for those of you who don't know what it is, don't feel bad, not everyone knows what it is, and gamification professionals can't really agree on a set definition. From what I can tell, they all like to tweak it and do it themselves. So how I describe it is that, as Callum was just saying, we all like to play games. We will have played at some point in our life some sort of game, whether it be a mobile game, a board game, a sport, tiddlywinks, Wordle, chess, something, and we'll be unable to put it down because we want to get to the next level. We're enjoying it. Maybe we want to beat our opponent. Maybe we want to beat that final boss, whatever it is. And so gamification is taking those things that are inherent in games that compel you, that motivate you, that make you keep wanting to play even when it's frustrating or it's difficult, and put those things into non-game settings to make them more successful. So the example you just gave was courses. So the kinds of things that you can gamify is pretty much anything that isn't inherently motivating. But what I do is I apply it to courses, launches, memberships, things like that, to help people to get more of their customers to complete their courses, to reduce membership attrition, to increase engagement, to get better quality testimonials, basically to take all of those different player types within an audience and take them on different pathways depending on what they want. So some of the things that you suggested just then, you said progress bars, you said ticking things off. Did you say something else?
Yeah, like milestones.
Yeah, so those kinds of things will motivate certain types of personalities, but they will put some types of personalities off. So you have to be careful when you're building in gamification to consider the different types of people in your audience and whether they're going to love competition or whether they would prefer collaboration or a bit of both, whether they would like a leaderboard or whether that's just going to stop them from actually doing something they were going to do anyway that would actually benefit them. Because some people find leaderboards demotivating. For example, if you had 100 points on a leaderboard and I hadn't even got 1 point yet, I'm going to think there's no point me even playing because I'm never going to get to 100 points. Mm-hmm. So you have to be very smart about not accidentally demotivating by gamifying, by adding in the wrong types of elements or elements that clash with each other, which, could be a bit of a downfall. So rather than just me sitting here and listing all the possible things you could do, the most important thing for you to do, and this is basic marketing, like 101, you guys would say, understand who it is you have in your audience. Like really understand them. Don't just be like, I need to have an ideal client avatar, which everyone talks about. Ask them, like, what motivates you? What demotivates you? Why are you on this course? Not everybody is on your course to learn what you teach. Some people are in there because they want to network. Some people are in there because they want to see how you teach stuff. Some people might be in there because they want to get closer to you and your network. Like people will be in there for different reasons. So find out what those things are, because in order for your gamification to work, the idea is that you help them get the results that they want in the way that they want it, rather than just taking everyone on the same path and assuming they want the same thing. Does that make sense?
Very cool. So does it help to like ask people, what games do you like to play? Would that give you a useful answer?
Yeah, you can do, definitely. But what you will find is that, so like particularly in America, the main demographic of gamers is not what you might particularly expect. It tends to be women between 35 and 45-ish. Don't quote me on that stat exactly. But yeah, exactly. So they tend to be the people that would be playing mobile games, right? So, but they wouldn't consider themselves to be a gamer. If you ask them if they played games, they'd say no. Generally, like obviously you're an exception to this rule.
Right.
Most people, they'd be like, no, I don't play a game. But then if you
Yeah,
say,
just because you play like Candy Crush on your phone, you don't think of that as being a gamer.
exactly, but they are gamers. That's exactly what they're doing. They're playing games all day long, and they're probably pretty good at it. And they actually probably play it for a lot more hours than they think they do. So, I mean, maybe if you gave them multiple choice, that might be better. So you could think of it that way. But the only information
You also might not get like useful information from it because people don't necessarily know why they like a game. So you might take the wrong result and say, if somebody likes Candy Crush, then I need to put this and this in, and that's not what actually made them like it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, do you want to be building a Candy Crush into your course? No. Like, what a faff. What a faff. And how, like, that's going to be costly. Like, why would you want to do that? So it's more about figuring out, like, so the 4 player types are achiever. So these are people that like to achieve. That's me. Like, I like to get badges. I like to get the titles. I want to get to the next level so that I can cross it off, right? That's me. I'm an achiever. Some people are socializers. They're the people who don't really care about achieving. They're in there to network. They'll help other people to achieve. That's their foremost motivator. There will be explorers. So those are people who like to find the hidden things. They're the people who they're your grammar Nazis, as the phrase goes. They'll find those little things that are hidden that other people haven't found. And they really like to explore. They really like to look around. They really like to find those things other people might not be aware of. And then the 4th type, it sounds super negative. It's not. It's just a personality type. It's called killers. So killers in the gaming world, they are the kinds of people that would shoot you so that they could get the flag, even if you were on their team. Because they don't, like, they're very similar to achievers in that they want to achieve, but their motivations are different. I want to achieve because I like to achieve things. I want to get those things for myself. Killers generally want to achieve to prevent other people from getting it. So they would like a leaderboard. They would want to get to the top to prevent other people from getting to the top. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And it sounds like those people are really evil, but they're not. It's just what motivates them. And so getting to the top over and above other people might be what they want. So rather than thinking, how can I add in Candy Crush, or how can I add in, I don't know, a sticker chart or whatever, think, what can I add in that's going to motivate those kinds of players? And on top of that, consider, where are my students, my membership people, where are they on their journey of learning? So let's say you're teaching Facebook ads. Have they got a Facebook account? Have they never used Facebook before? Or have they already run successful Facebook ad campaigns? The kinds of stuff you're going to put in place to motivate those two different type of people are going to be very different. So rather than creating a course and being like, everybody does the same videos in the same order and watches the same PDFs and, you know, is in the same Facebook group, you might think, right, how can I create things and put things in place that are going to motivate these different types of people? So it's a lot more.
You said, you have to be careful not to have things that contradict each other while still having things for all 4 types. That sounds challenging.
It is challenging, but I think the thing that you need to remember is that you can give people the option to opt in and opt out. So you can give people consent, and gamification works better by consent. Nobody likes forced fun. No, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, you know, like hyper overly organized forced fun is not going to work. You know, if you say to your friends, you must play Monopoly with me or else, they're not going to want to play, are they? Like, they're not going to get the same enjoyment out of it. So give people the options to opt in and opt out of certain things that aren't necessarily, what's the word? Like the most important thing when it comes to learning whatever it is that you're teaching. You have certain things.
The leaderboard, like you were talking about, if somebody wants to opt out or opt in, that would be a great place.
Exactly. Or give people the option to be anonymous. So, if you want to take part in the leaderboard, but you don't want people to see your names because you're embarrassed by your score, you can be anonymous. Then you can still take part. Maybe you'll realize you can actually gain those points quicker than you thought. You can take part and not feel creepy about, not creepy, embarrassed and ashamed when you shouldn't, because it's just a game. It doesn't actually matter to your learning objectives. So yeah, it's a bit of a balance. It's a bit of a, I love it, but then that's what I do. But if you're just starting out with this and you're like, sounds like a lot of work, just start by thinking, how can I get, and this is going to be a terrible pun, but how can I get them to the next level? How can I get my course just to the next level? I don't need to gamify it all completely to start with. Let's just trial some things. It is trial and error. Stuff that would work for my audience might not work for your audience. Stuff that might work eventually might not work straight away. So it's very much let's try a few things and see how they feel, see how my audience adapts, and just talk with them about it. How did you find this challenge that we just ran? How did you find this, hidden feature that we added? Talk to them about it, because the whole thing for me with gamification is it's a win-win. And you won't know if it's a win-win for them unless you ask them. And that's when the best feedback comes out as well, because they'll be like, I did like it, but, and then you're like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that thing.
Yeah. I'm curious how you integrate gamification into launches.
Okay. So a lot of people do gamified launches anyway. So they'll do things like 5-day challenges, stuff like that, where it's gamified anyway. But you can add in things to those types of launches to make them even more gamified. So things that everyone does, they'll do a referral competition, maybe with a leaderboard, they'll do an engagement competition, the most engaged member wins a prize, that kind of thing. But we add in other things as well. So something that we did on one of our previous challenges, it wasn't a challenge actually, it was like a festival style launch, but we wanted to give people more reasons to show up. It was, this is a very British name, I realized my American friend told me the other day. It's called the Festive Kick Up the Bum, which is, it's I don't know how you would say the same thing. I'm not going to swear on your podcast. But yeah, it was in December. So there's lots of reasons why people might sign up for a free event and not show up during the pandemic. So we wanted to give them more reasons to show up. So we had daily challenges. We had the engagement and referral competitions. But on top of that, we also gave people a chance to win as long as they did that day's task. They didn't have to do yesterday's. They didn't have to do tomorrow's. They just had to do today's. So they could start at any point if they wanted to, and then come live. Anyone who'd done that task that day was in for a chance to win a prize, and they didn't know what the prize was going to be because we use something which we call our snazzy prezi picker. Now, without a visual, it's going to be hard to explain this, but I'm going to do my best. So it was a visual that we showed on the screen with 10 presents wrapped up. And when you hovered over them with the mouse, they wiggled. And the person who won would say which number they wanted, and live I would type in their name and open the prize, which they would get to see what it was there and then. So we were using gamification to encourage people to actually do that day's task, even if they were overwhelmed and hadn't done the previous tasks. We're using gamification in that sense to get them to show up live, because we wanted them to show up live to the lives themselves, not just watch it on the replay, because there's a small proportion of people who do actually watch it on the replay when they say they're going to, but most people don't. Because people wanted to know, am I going to win today? Because everyone was in for a chance to win as long as they did that day's task. And they wanted to know, if I have won, I want to be there when they open the prize to see what it is. That's so exciting. So it was motivating these different types of people. So let's break that down into the player types. So the achievers, they want to do the task anyway. So they're doing it no matter what. This isn't really for them. The killers, they want to do it because they want to win the prize over everybody else. The explorers are interested because of the mystery. They want to know what the prize is and they want to find out what that thing is. So they're intrigued by that. And then who have I missed? The socializers. So they are wanting this because what happens is when the prize is announced, the person is announced, everyone's like, congratulations, XYZ. Congratulations, Debbie, you won. This is so exciting. And it's a real social thing. It's a really interactive thing. So it's not a huge thing that we did. It wasn't really expensive. It didn't take lots of time. It didn't involve like creating a whole board game. That was just one element of many that we added to this one launch to try and solve some problems that we had around motivation, which were in that instance, like I already said, the time of year, the fact that people sign up to free stuff all the time, life gets in the way. We wanted to motivate people to have a reason to actually show up live and engage with that thing on that day.
Very neat. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm an achiever like you.
It's funny. I just assumed, like, when I started reading about this player type, these are Bartol's player types. So these were designed around games specifically rather than gamification. So they don't work exactly, but they do kind of work. But as soon as I read them, I was like, surely every business owners are achiever. Like, of course they are. That's like, and then I started realizing and started thinking about all my friends, and I was like, actually, no, I can see that you are a socializer. I can see that you're a killer. And people are a combination of the two. It's like any psychological test. Like, you're not going to be 100% one or another. And depending on the task, whatever it is that you're doing, you might have a different player type. But it really helps to kind of try and get an understanding of the kinds of people in your audience so that you can adapt for those personalities.
I'm thinking about that explorer type. I'm thinking they like Easter eggs. They like inside jokes, and how you can kind of hide little winks inside what you're doing.
Something we like to do, we have done in previous launches for explorers, is so obviously because we're on a split screen, you won't be able to see, but there is a gap on the wall behind me. And so I have been known, whilst we're doing a co-working session, to pin a poster up behind me with words on it. And people are co-working, they've got their heads down. And so like the first person to mention it will win a prize. Or like we've had it where we change it every time. Also, we did that once, and nobody noticed during the first live. So we kept it up. And then in the next live, we'd added another poster underneath it. And it said things like, I can't remember, like it was really silly. Like, I don't know, can you see me? Or like, it wasn't anything relevant. Or sometimes we do make it relevant to what we're trading about. So when I used to teach about Instagram, it might be things like pick one dream customer or something like that. Like I had a sign up for months on my wall that said pick one. And so, yeah, the idea is like the first person to mention it or the first person to put it into a sentence or whatever. And we don't tell them this is going to get you a prize. We just wait and see what happens. And then what happens is over time, people kind of get trained to look in your content, look at everything a little bit closer, look in your PDFs for hidden stuff, look and see what they can find. And yeah, it's quite a fun thing to do. It's in terms of creativity from a launch or a marketing perspective. It's so much fun to design for explorers because it's hiding stuff, like it's secret fun things that they don't, they wouldn't know about otherwise.
That is awesome. So how did you get started doing this as your job?
That is a great question. So this is a kind of a little bit of a long-winded and two-pronged answer, but we're gonna go for it. So in terms of running a business, I started off doing marketing in my marketing career for like big businesses, corporates, private sector, public sector, charities, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I was also a semi-professional hula hooper. I was getting really into hula hooping, and I became what is now known as a micro-influencer. It wasn't called that back then. But it is now. That's the phrase. And I got sponsored by a company in America to promote their hula hoops. And I used gamification, I didn't know it was called that back then, to outsell the other sponsored hoopers by 10 times. So I was doing this anyway. Like I was using gamification to make me exercise more, to read more, all these things. I just didn't know I was doing it. And it was my other half who said to me, you know that you only ever exercise if you've set yourself a challenge. And I was like, nah, that's not true. And then I realized it was true, and he's always right. So so yeah, I realized that this was a thing. And at the time I had already run a successful social media agency and digital marketing agency, and I was teaching people Instagram. That's what I was doing. And I looked at everything I was doing and I was like, I even do this in my business. And like, I'm getting pretty bored of training people of Instagram. It keeps changing all the time and it's not what I want to be doing forever. I just kind of fell into it. So I was like, what if I could take this thing that I'm naturally doing and getting results from and do it as my business. So we used the last couple of challenges and last couple of courses that we ran about Instagram as kind of test beds. And so we tested some gamification stuff in those to increase our results. And it worked. It worked so well. I mean, we knew it was going to work anyway. We were already doing some gamification stuff, but the last free 5-day challenge that we ran compared to the previous round, we saw an increase in conversion rate from 1.1% to 2.9%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an increase of 162%. And when your course is 1,500 quid and you're getting 1,600 people into your challenges, that's a big financial increase from just adding in a few game elements. And then our final course, which we gamified, not completely, but we added in a lot of gamification. We didn't really know what we were doing then. I was just trying stuff out, and we saw a 29% increase in course completion, which is just huge. We saw a 52% increase in posts in the group, which is, you know, a huge sign of engagement, people being interested, people wanting to take part, and it reminds other people that the course is happening and gets those that have fallen off the wagon back on. And then we saw a 16% increase in active users in the group within that 10 weeks compared to the previous round as well. So when we realized, we were like, you know, I knew this was working anyway. I knew it was kind of my style. I knew it was the thing that I was doing. And when we announced it, people were like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Duh.
Of course, that's what you're going to be doing now. Exactly. They didn't even know there was a word for it. But when I explained it, they were like, obviously. But we even launched that in a gamified way. We did a guess what we're launching. We basically said to people, we're going to be releasing clues by email every week. And if you want to try and figure it out, join the email list. So they joined the email list and people tried to work it out. And I think we must have done those. We drew it out. Like, I think we did it for like 14 weeks or something. And people were guessing. And like, I had people who I hadn't spoken to for years ringing me up, tell me what you're doing. Like, I can't work it out. It's just so frustrating. Like, I really want to know what it is. And I was like, this is working. Like, this is really working. And it is so much fun. And I think 2 or 3 people guessed, which was good because those people I was then able to ask them to beta test our lead magnet quiz, which we couldn't ask anyone else to beta test because we didn't want them to know what we were doing. So it was kind of accidentally very clever, I think, which I think a lot of gamification stuff is. But yeah, it was so much fun to launch in that way. I would definitely recommend doing it if you have the patience and like a secret like I do.
Not so good at secrets, but the idea of dropping hints through email sounds like really cool.
People loved it.
Motivation for people to open the emails, to get on the email list. Like, very nice.
People were waiting for them as well because we dropped them on the same time every week. So people were waiting for them. Like, I can't wait for your clue like tomorrow. And like within some of the clues, we added in some games as well. So like not all of the clues were like, I can't even remember what the clues were, but you know, they were like things like this new thing can help you to increase engagement, or like, you know, little stories or whatever. But yeah, it was fun.
I got one of your social media packs of like Instagram posts for games and stuff. I have to use it more. I think I only used one, but have to actually find the time to keep up with my own social media.
It's always the way. Yeah, we designed those because, like I said, we had people from our previous audience who'd come to me to learn about Instagram, and a lot of them are product-based businesses. And a lot of what we're doing now is around online courses, launches, challenges, memberships, things that product-based businesses don't do. So I was like, how can we provide something for them? So we came up with the social media template packs, which are gamified for feed and stories. And it's just a way for you to interact with your audience in a way that is, well, interactive, for want of a better word. But there's a stat, and I can't remember, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's something like 80% of marketers say that interactive content is more effective than static content. So if you can be adding games into your content in any way, shape or form to get people to interact, you're going to increase your engagement. And then when you're ready to sell, they're more likely to see your content. So that's the idea behind those, really. And they are, even if I do say so myself, a bit of a bargain.
Definitely. So this quiz, we have the quiz linked in the description, but can you tell us what exactly will people discover about themselves by taking the quiz?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to try and remember off by heart exactly what it says now, but it says something like, find out in 3 minutes how you can sort out the challenges in your business. So it's to do with if you've ever wondered how gamification could help you with social media, challenges, memberships, launches, the things I've been talking about. And it says 3 minutes, but it's multiple choice. And so it's not 3 minutes really.
It's
and at
as
the
fast
end,
as you want it to be.
yeah, exactly. And at the end, you get a PDF with tips that are based on your answers.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if you're like, I don't know if I need that quiz, you might want to have a look at it just from a let's have a look at how she's gamified this perspective. So yeah, definitely take that. It's free and it won't take you even 3 minutes.
Awesome. Okay. Are there any last tips that you would like to leave the audience with?
I think as well as what I've already said around figuring out who's in your audience and what would motivate them, I think you need to think about why. So there's a couple of whys here. So the first one is, why are you doing it? So if you're doing gamification because you want to make it more fun, that's great, but it's not a business objective. So think, am I doing this gamification to increase course completion, to reduce attrition, to get more signups to my newsletter? Like, what is the aim of this? And then gamify based on that. And then the other why to think about is, why should they care? All right, people are busy. People are busy. Why should they stop and interact with your game? Why, like if it's on social media, why should they take part in this competition? What's in it for them? Like, you know why you want to do it, or hopefully you do if you've done the first why, but why should they care? Really think about that. And if you're struggling, then you probably need to change it because it's not going to work. If you haven't got that win-win, it's not going to work. That's how gamification is. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. Okay. So everybody can find you by going to that quiz or looking up Kimba Digital.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for this little insight into how to increase our engagement and all of those good things.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. I love talking about this topic, especially with somebody who actually really likes games. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.